Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Careers Chat. Today, we are delighted to have a guest, and it's Manisha Arora. And before we start exploring further with lots of questions, which both Siobhan and I have about Manisha, Manisha, may I ask you just to introduce yourself a little bit and tell us about your career story so far?
Hi, everyone. I'm Manisha Arora. I'm working as a director in LTIMindtree in London office. Before I was working here as a consultant, as a director, I was working with Tata Communications as a product leader. And before that, I was working with Bosch as a product manager. It's a long journey. It's been 17 years I am in this field. We see now at this stage of my life, I feel that yes, I'm working in a field where I feel that I belong.
That's great. Thanks for that introduction. It really gives a flavour of what you've done. And I think it shows people who are listeners to our podcast what can be done. So I think for a lot of international students and graduates, they kind of think, what am I going to do? How can I do this? So your story is going to be really helpful. So thank you.
And especially for us, it's very interesting that you are working in a consulting sector, but in tech environment, and you are a woman, female professional who has really progressed in career to get to the director level you are. So we really want to start from the very beginning and hear what were your career achievements throughout the years that helped you get where you are, and also what skills you have developed throughout.
So I did my graduation in alcohol technology. It's sort of into manufacturing. It was one of its kind back in my home country in India. But I realized that at that time when I was doing my engineering in 2006, when I graduated, there were not many jobs for women in that field. In India, everybody is engineer, especially computer engineer. We are very famous for IT services. So I pivoted to IT career as an intern, as a SAP ABAP back in 2006. It was wonderful. I think within 1.5 years, I learned a lot, and they required me to train other people, but in various technologies. So I was like, why not? I'll try that. And I really liked it because when you're young, you really want to try and figure out what works best for you. It was really something that I think connected to me because I was teaching others. And I felt that I'm learning more while I'm teaching others. And then parallelly, I started looking for a job in that field. And luckily, I got another job in a financial company who is into financial planning. And they were looking for a similar profile. And it was wonderful. The team was different, organization was very interesting. Most of my colleagues, they're still working there. And that's kind of an organization it was. From the senior to junior level, we are still in touch. It was a wonderful experience. But I thought after 4.5 years working there, I need to move into something even higher in the similar field. Got the opportunity in Freescale Semiconductor. It was a spin-off company from Motorola. And that's where I really enjoyed at a senior level. That was my first stint with where I felt that, okay, now I have arrived. I have a team of my own. I was reporting to was a woman. First time in my life, I found woman role model. Not only I was learning, but it was like something very different environment. I felt like it was actually after campus. That was the job I was supposed to do, but it took 7 years. Within that organization, within 2.5 years, I got 2 promotions and I got a lot of confidence from the person I was working with. So I thought, now it's time to start something of my own. I was riding high. I was like feeling that, okay, let me do something. I got to learn a lot about electronics into technology space because that was a semiconductor company. So not only I was working with data, I was working with lot of reports, and I got to know the gaps in the market. I was always since childhood I was a creator. When I was 11, 12, I created telephone from the scratch. I was always into technology. My friends were having fashion magazines. I was having a digit magazine in my house. So technology was always a fascination. And I always thought that whenever I have something I want, I'll create something. I was a very into tangible products. So that's where the journey started. I resigned from that company and moved to Bangalore because there are a lot of startups. If you are looking for resources, if you are looking for companies who can help you, investors who can help you, Bangalore is the place. So packed all my bags and moved overnight to Bangalore. and just started from scratch. I had no idea what would I do, but now I'm getting myself submerged in the startup ecosystem. So it was very interesting. 2.5 years, I tried to run that company. So our idea was for elderly and for school kids and for women, they require safety. They require so many health parameters to actually understand how things are functioning. It was wearable. It was a health tech. It was something like the Apple Watch that you wear these days. I'm talking about back in 2014. So there was no Apple Watches. I reached out to some 100 plus investors. The startup got published in many publications. We won few awards. But building a product based on my 2.5 years experience in Indian ecosystem where manufacturing was not there, people spending was not there, resources were not there, was very hard. So I was like, It's not working. What should I do?" I always wanted to help people. Okay, let me work in a non-profit. I'll work in an NGO. I'll regroup myself. I want to just help people and work with them at the grassroots level. And maybe something comes up. I was so used to working 36 hours a day. During your startup, you work a lot. There is no time limit. There are no boundaries. And when I was working with NGO, suddenly I felt I have time to think. Initially, it was very difficult for me to accept that I have so much of time now, suddenly, after so many years of working. But it gave me a pause. After working there for 8 months, I thought that, okay, let me apply. But I didn't want to go back to the same job that I was doing as a business analyst or data analyst. Nobody was taking my entrepreneurship experience into consideration because for them, yes, you work, but there is no tangible thing. So I reached out to a couple of recruiters. They said it's impossible. In India, you cannot change your job profile like this at this stage of your career. I was like, watch me, because I've done it many times. So I reached to many companies and I pushed my CV as an intern. It's like you want to do something, but companies are like, we are looking for an experienced person if we want to hire you. I was like, okay, fine, I understand. Let me start from the scratch. We'll see my performance in 3 months, 6 months, and see where it goes. And if it's not working, then I'll do something else. So I talked to a couple of recruiters, couple of companies, and somehow it clicked with Bosch. Based on my experience, they saw that okay, maybe I could add some value into their existing ecosystem. They wanted to set up their COE, Center of Excellence, as well as they wanted to set up their first startup accelerator. Those days, accelerator were coming up in India. So they were like, okay, you have that experience. Let's utilize. Let's see what happens after 6 or 9 months. We come back and we review your performance. And it so happened within 10 months, they offered me a manager role. From intern to manager, I worked my ass off. So I used to work my job from 9 to 5, but from 5 to 9, I was helping other departments. Anything that they require, they need help with, just free of cost. I'm available because of my startup ecosystem experience, because that's where I learned to network with people, helping them, met some wonderful people. They were very smart people. That was the best part about the startup, not the product. When you do something of your own, you learn how to own your things. You cannot blame anyone. You have to figure out everything on your own. That really helped me in Bosch because I was going to everyone, and in a corporate environment, people were not used to that. You're working in one department, you're just helping people and not expecting anything else. So by end of 9 months, I had an offer to join 3 departments. Imagine, from an intern where I was nowhere, and then I had an option to choose. But the universe aligned and the luck had it. There is another company, Tata Communication. The recruiter reached out to me that they are looking for something what you build in your startup. The same wearable device. They want to work in a B2B environment. They want to create that device from the scratch. And I think you, being a woman, will be very valuable for that product, for branding, for marketing, and as a product manager. So, what I started in my startup, I would be able to finish it. It was a very good opportunity. And within that 1 month, I had offer from Bosch as a manager, and then from Tatacom. I was like, what's happening? But it didn't happen. I think some stars aligned, but that's where the interesting stuff happened. There I stayed for 3.5 years. I was hired as a product leader for all their asset management products. Anything you need to track a truck, you need to track a vehicle, you need to put those devices into the autonomous cars for health tracking of elderly, for women's safety. So there are plenty of products that I worked for 3.5 years. We did some 90 POCs. That was the actual learning in my life. In that, it was again same as free scale. I again booming with confidence. From intern I became a manager, and then I became product leader, and I learned a lot. And my VP only told that I think you have a very different pedigree, and I think you need to study more. I think go for a structured learning. It will help you grow to the next level. It's good what you did here. He was so happy that okay, finally we came out with the product. So he was the one who recommended me that okay, you should go for your masters. And I was like, I should try it, because parallelly it was always a dream. I always wanted to do a MBA, but from a very good college, top tier college. So the other inspiration in my life was my best friend, because she had done MBA a few years ago. So he recommended me for I Business School. I got in with the scholarship, but as life has have it, it's not that easy. In 2019, when I got my confirmation of my admission, COVID happened. So, so it was like, should I do? Because by that time, I've already resigned from the organization, and I was all packed up to go to Spain and start my MBA journey. And on top of it, those guys, the IE Business School, have funded us. They gave us a separate fund, because what we planned is we will go from India to Spain via car. We were very excited that because it was 3-4 months, we planned, we were talking to consultant, we were talking for our visas, because it was the entire journey road trip via China, some parts of Russia, some parts of like the Europe, France. But the COVID happened. There was no way that we could do that road trip. All the borders were closed. And then I had to figure out, what would I do? You can't do anything. You don't have a job. What would you do? So I spoke to many people, and I spoke to the guys in the admission team in I Business School as well. They said, we created a provision, we created a way for you that you will be attending in person classes. I don't know how they did it, but they somehow managed it. They stick to their guns, and they did it when I went there for my MBA. So it was like, okay, so even if I managed to attend classes 2-3 days in a week, that's enough, because I didn't have a job. I was like, what's the point of waiting? Let's just go with it. It worked out before in my life. Hopefully, it works out after as well. But it's very different when you study in India versus when you work internationally and when you study internationally. All the networking skills that you have, they are at zero. All the understanding that you have back in India, how to get a job in any college, anything, it goes down to zero, because there it was very different, which I did not think about it. I think most of the international students do not think about it. The classes are in person, but even though they are in person, you can't do networking. You can't go to the events, because they could not do anything from the government side, because everything was closed at that time. Nobody was arranging any events. So they tried to arrange online events. And we had to learn at the same time online how to network. And our career advisor told us that you have to start searching the job from the day one. That's how difficult it is. And especially, you can add the pressure of COVID. The companies are not hiring right now. Everything is on freeze. They have no idea what will happen next year. So it's all on luck. Somehow, again, the universe aligned, and I got internship in Madrid after 3 months, and it was really nice experience. I got to learn and understand how to work in Spain. I was a consultant as an advisor for that company, but you get to know how things are working. That experience really helped me, because the person I was working with, whom I was reporting, he really helped me streamline how to go about the jobs. But again, it was unpaid internship. At that age, it was very difficult considering the COVID. He was like, okay, you would get experience, but I wouldn't be able to pay. Many times I realized that sometimes you don't get the money that you require, the type of job that you get. But if you can go away with just the experience, there are many people who can help you. Looking at what you're doing, how you're doing, if you're good, they will themselves either help you to get our next job or they give you job themselves. I always feel it's like the unpaid internships got me many doors which opened later on fully and gave me the returns that I was looking for. Then I was just reaching out to people and saying that I need a job. You apply on LinkedIn, you apply on the job portals or go through referrals. Because people don't know you, it becomes very difficult to take risks on you.
Just asking, Manisha, I hear what you're saying, and I think it's really, fantastic advice to reach out and get that. But how financially did you manage to be able to afford to do that? Because we work with a lot of international students and graduates who might say, I can't afford to do that. So what tips would you give them to manage that? Save all the while?
Yes, it is something which I learned later in my life. But I realized that even when I started my career, if somebody would have given me advice, my younger self, that okay, do this way, I think it would have saved me lot of heartache, lot of pain. Because money is a very crucial part in trying all that. I was lucky. I had my best friend and my father to help me and guide me. Because of their goodness, I learned how to manage money. And I learned along the way. It took me so many years. But one advice that I gave to everyone is start saving early. And you don't even have to save like £1,000 or something. Every day, I say that I'm saving £20. I have 2, 3 wallets in my account where I move £10, £30. And now I see after 1 year, I have enough savings. I don't have to even think about it. So that's the advice I would give.
That is good advice. I'm just conscious of time. I just wanted to come back to a few points because I think you're a little hard on yourself. From meeting you today, you talk a lot about the universe aligning. I think the universe had a lot of help from your talent, your self-awareness, your determination, your resilience, your focus. So, and you talk about a lot of really good points about looking for a mentor without looking for a mentor in your line manager and learning. And you seem to have reflected all the way through your career. I like this. I didn't like this. This is a good way to go. I don't know if you picked up on that.
I picked on that your experience is, okay, I'll do this experience, see how it goes, but I take the learning from that and I'll move on to the next career. So that's what people refer to as squiggly career. You're moving, you're experiencing, you're growing as professional. And I picked up on the same with my notes. I'm like, several times, Manisha, you're talking about luck, and I'm like, it's not luck, it's your hard work. It's your
your learning.
I'm like, luck, is this luck?
I'm starting my day very happily. I'm getting so many.
Oh, come on, no,
we're just here telling you the truth. You made your luck with your tenacity and your clarity of thinking. I think that's really important, and it's so important for me to hear another woman talking about how a female role model came into her life. I had a line manager who I tell her constantly, you are my role model. And she'll say, pack that in. And I go, no, you have to hear this. You are my role model. I'm not copying what she did. I'm in the same career area as her, but she gave me so much wisdom and gave me the opportunity to think more broadly. So that's what happened to you. And you took that and you ran with it. And I think that's so important to talk about as well. So I'm going to say, not luck. You made it happen.
I'm with you on that one. Definitely. And also, I also enjoy the stories around you finding probably not an official mentor or sponsor, but people who will push you. Even the French guy who pushed you to study more. Can you tell us a little bit more about that relationship and what's happening now? I know you mentioned that he's writing on your LinkedIn profile that he recommends you, but when you actually grow in your career, do you go back to him for further mentorship or advice?
I used to, but I think he's very busy. I think in his professional life, you and me
Mm.
put together can't match his energy. At his level, he was all over the place and traveling so much. And back then, I didn't have experience that how French culture is, how French in a corporate setting, how do they work? Because there is a Indian way of working, there's a British way of working, there's a French way of working. I found him very admiring because he was like from 9 a.m. till evening 7. He's always, let's do this, do that, had more energy than somebody who is in 40s or 30s. That itself is admiring. I don't know how some people keep this motivation alive and they inspire others as well along the way. And like you said, I couldn't tell him that because of, I think, the culture difference. I couldn't tell him that, okay, you are my role model. But he was a very clear headed, honest person who will tell you in a very diplomatic way, but at the same time, when there is a need, he will tell you exactly what you are supposed to hear. It just really helps me. Every time I connect with someone who has a similar wavelength, like my role model in Freescale and at Tata Communication, people can help guide you if they are on a same wavelength. I think whenever I meet them at certain level, I just want to learn from them as much as I can.
You kind of connect with people, and I
Yes.
think sometimes people, your mentors, can be there for 5 years or 15 years or 5 months, and it's just understanding that. I'm very conscious of time. I just wanted to ask you a question about language skills, because you talked about studying in Spain and working in Spain. So I'm assuming you've got good language skills. Your Spanish.
Not really. I wish. I tried doing Duolingo. I had a teacher as well. But I think COVID, it just is messed up everything. I was
Yeah.
just looking for a job during my Spanish days.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you did it. And you see, this comes back to your resilience. COVID, I think, was this big, horrible period for people. But you speak to some people, particularly international students who were here then, and they talk about community. And I know at Warwick did crazy things. Like, do you remember the bonfire night thing that they did, where they showed a video
of
fireworks
Yeah,
going
I
off
remember
and
that,
sort of
actually, yeah.
crackling, crackling logs and whatever, and the chat was open and people were chatting away. So human nature being what it is, I think we find a way around these things, and you certainly did. You've come out much stronger. So you are, as they say in Ireland, a fierce woman. And that is not an insult, that is definitely a compliment. Well, we'd like to thank you for coming on our podcast today. It's been a pleasure hearing your career story. And, we look forward to seeing more of you on LinkedIn.
Thank you very much for your time,
Same here.
Manisha. Inspiring story. And take
Thank you so
care.
much.
Lovely to talk to you today. Thank you.
It was pleasure connecting with you guys and talking to you guys. I think my old memories came back.
Yeah,
Thank you so
definitely.
We leave them with you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Have a
Bye
good
bye.
day.
Have a good day.
Take care.
Bye.
So that was a really interesting insight into someone's career story and life story, really.
Yeah, a lot about learning, wasn't it? All the way through, there was lots of learning. And what I liked at the end, I know that we didn't get to the end of where Manisha is today, but it is her starting basically from zero when she was in Spain, learning to network from zero, learning how to apply for jobs from zero. And yet she's
that
a
tenacity
director
to
today.
just
Yeah.
keep going. Because I think, I totally agree with you. We could have talked for another hour, but I think the central lessons needed to be drawn out there, and I think Manisha's probably somebody we'll come back to and maybe invite back onto the podcast, and
love to,
she can part two. I think I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, I'm sure we can organize that. And for that, stay tuned to hear our next episode. Thank you very much for joining us. Bye bye from me.
Bye bye from me.